Moncler has one of the most dramatic and unexpected glow-ups in fashion history. This is a brand that started as a tiny French maker of sleeping bags in 1952 and somehow transformed itself into a global luxury icon, generating over 3 billion euros in annual revenue. What's wild is that Moncler didn't win simply because it made better jackets. Goose down wasn't the real superpower. Reinvention was. And once you understand their strategy, you'll never look at luxury brands the same way again. Back in 1952, Moncler was founded by René Ramillion and André Vincent in the Alpine town of Monastir de Clermont, which is exactly where the name Moncler comes from. At the same time, this was absolutely not a fashion brand. They made quilted sleeping bags, tents, and mountaineering gear for people battling extreme cold, not attending fashion shows. Their early down jackets were built for function and even used as workwear for cold storage workers. Style wasn't part of the conversation. Everything changed in 1954 when Moncler gear was selected for the Italian expedition to K2, the first successful ascent of the mountain. Later, in 1968, Moncler became the official supplier for the French Olympic ski team. These moments didn't make Moncler fashionable, but they made Moncler credible. Long before luxury, Moncler had something incredibly valuable: technical authority, and that credibility would later become the foundation of its transformation. By the 1990s, Moncler had largely fallen out of relevance. The brand suffered from dilution, inconsistent positioning, and shifting fashion tastes. Heavy down jackets felt dated next to sleeker outwear trends. Moncler wasn't exciting anymore. It was becoming a relic. This is the phase many struggling brands experience, the quiet decline before reinvention. Then came Remo Ruffini. In 2003, Ruffini acquired Moncler when the company was struggling. His vision wasn't just revival, it was repositioning. He believed Moncler could become a true luxury brand, a bold idea at the time. I mean, who would pay over $1,000 for a puffer jacket? But Ruffini understood something critical. Luxury isn't built on materials alone, it's built on identity. And Moncler already possessed powerful raw ingredients, heritage, alpine performance roots, and instantly recognizable silhouettes. That same year, Moncler moved its headquarters to Milan. This wasn't just geographic, it was symbolic. Moncler was no longer positioning itself as a French utility manufacturer. It was becoming an Italian luxury fashion house, a completely different narrative. From that point forward, Ruffini executed one of the smartest repositioning strategies in modern fashion. The jackets became slimmer, visually striking, and unmistakably bold. High-gloss finishes, sharper fits, and a stronger design language transformed the product from purely functional to highly expressive. Moncler didn't abandon performance, it amplified desirability. Pricing became part of the strategy. Moncler jackets entered around the $1,000 plus range, supported by premium materials, craftsmanship, and luxury positioning. The price itself became a signal, not just of warmth, but of status and identity. Visibility became marketing. When you saw a Moncler jacket, you knew it was Moncler, and customers responded. In 2013, Moncler went public on the Milan Stock Exchange with a valuation around 2.5 billion euros. Demand accelerated globally. Revenue continued climbing year after year. By 2022, Moncler Group revenue was roughly 2.6 billion euros. By 2023, it had crossed 3 billion euros. For a brand once known for sleeping bags, this was not luck, it was strategy. Nowhere was this strategy more evident than with Moncler Genius. Launched in 2018, Genius introduced a radical model. Instead of relying solely on traditional fashion seasons, Moncler adopted a multi-designer, multi-drop innovation engine. Rather than presenting collections alone, Moncler collaborated with designers like Craig Green, Hiroshi Fujiwara, Pierpaolo Piccioli, Rick Owens, and others. Each drop felt like a cultural event. Genius accomplished something extremely rare. It made Moncler relevant across vastly different audiences: luxury, streetwear, avant-garde, and youth culture without weakening its premium positioning. Moncler didn't trace chins, it curated energy. Social media amplified this effect. Moncler's visual direction became dramatic, sculptural, and impossible to ignore. Oversized silhouettes, futuristic aesthetics, and highly shareable creative executions turned jackets into viral-ready content. The product became media. The media became demand. The Moment of Genius events pushed this even further. These were not conventional runway shows. They were cultural spectacles, blending fashion, music, and collaboration with figures like Pharrell and major creative partners. Moncler wasn't just showing clothing, it was creating conversation. Another major pillar of growth was Asia, particularly China. Moncler invested heavily in strategic retail presence, brand positioning, and youth-oriented collaborations. The acquisition of Stone Island in 2020 further strengthened its appeal to younger consumers and expanded its cultural footprint. Asia became a critical growth engine, not because of weather, but because of perception and identity. Moncler's digital presence reflected modern luxury at its finest. High-gloss visuals, strong silhouettes, and bold creative direction turned outerwear into something theatrical, something meant to be seen. Competitors selling function struggled to replicate this because Moncler was selling something different. Not warmth, fantasy. By the early 2020s, the formula was clear. Technical credibility, plus luxury positioning, plus cultural collaboration, plus digital amplification equals billions in revenue. Moncler became less dependent on climate and more dependent on culture. And culture is global. What makes Moncler's rise so remarkable is that it didn't rely on discounting or trend chasing.
Mountains in the world. That wasn't an ordinary way to kick things off, yet made us realize who we really wanted to be. We can't say everything we did was perfect. We were never tempted by a comfortable way of doing things.
Pricing remained sacred. Brand perception remained controlled. Every move reinforced identity. Moncler didn't just revive a struggling brand, it executed a masterclass in reinvention. Because in modern luxury, the product alone rarely wins. Meaning wins. Identity wins. Perception wins. Moncler didn't rely on better feathers or better insulation. It relied on narrative and desirability. Because today, luxury isn't about what you wear, it's about what it signals. And Moncler understood that earlier than most. A brand born in freezing mountains now generates over $3 billion a year, selling desire, culture, and some of the most recognizable jackets on earth. Not bad for a former sleeping bag company. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to Born to Brand, because next, we're diving into another brand that rewrote the rules of its industry.